and welcome to another episode of Happy Mum, Happy Baby, the podcast. Today's guest is, she's best known as Baby Spice. She's one of the most amazing 5 women ever. It's Emma Bunton!
Oh, what a lovely introduction. Can I take you everywhere I go?
I get a bit fluffy and then I just go into like the X Factor voiceover man mode. You know what I mean? I'm just like, because then the people are watching, I'm like, oh my God, what am I saying? Because I don't script anything. But you know, there's so much to you. You do so much.
Yeah, I suppose so. Sometimes I feel...
Well, you've got Kit and Kin.
Yeah.
You are a radio presenter.
Yes.
You work on Bake Off in America. You are a mother of 2.
Yes.
Like, there's just so many things that you do.
And a Spice Girl.
And a Spice Girl. It's that funny thing, isn't it? I guess the thing that people know you as first, that is always going to be this massive thing that everyone asks you about.
Yeah,
everyone will always associate with.
Of course. I thought, do you know what? I feel really lucky. And it's funny when you say it like that because, yeah, there's quite a lot and you feel like you're juggling all the time. You know, but first and foremost, I am mummy. And then I just feel like I'm lucky to do all the other bits. I mean, the American Bake Off is a dream for me.
Yeah.
A dream. I mean, my favourite thing is eating cake. So that's all I have to do. People are like, but you can't bake. I'm like, I know, but I've got a great palate. So I work on that. So that is a dream job. And you know, to work with Paul and Sherry Yard, who is an incredible pastry chef in America. We just have a laugh. So that's pretty easy peasy, really.
And how are things right now? Because obviously we're recording this remotely. We're not together.
And we're so close. We don't live that far from each other and we still have to do this.
I know. But how are things? So obviously you are mum, you're at home, you're homeschooling, you're still juggling everything else like this. How is it?
Do you know what? I'm absolutely loving the family time, and it's something that I kind of wish for every day when I'm working, isn't it? It's like you're constantly like, oh, I want to be at home now, and rushing home and, you know, rushing to spend time with the kids. So that part, being around, you know, my family is a dream, and we've had some lovely days. We kind of do, we do our own sports days in the garden. But homeschooling, I'm not going to lie, it's been pretty tough. I think because I've just to become teacher overnight and try and kind of sit them down and get them to do stuff. Obviously, where at school they have, you know, great teachers, and I now kind of bow down to them. And I speak to both the teachers every day, like, thank you, you were brilliant. You know, it's not easy, and to keep a schedule. You know, we've tried our best, but, you know, then we're like, oh, should we go in the garden? It's quite a nice day. And so...
Well, that's the thing. And then school teachers to us are kind of saying, we hope you've been outside. We hope you've... So it's kind of like, are you telling us that you do want us to do the work, but also you want to make the most of this weird time that we've got and just live?
Absolutely. And also, you know, with my 2, they're like, if you can do this today, that would be great. I'm like, please don't say that, because they're like, actually, no, we can't. So they'll try anything to get out of it.
And I don't know about you, but with me, so I love maths. And I love getting things right. I think that's why I love maths. And Buzz is only 6, so it's year 1 maths. It's not the most complicated for me.
Yeah.
But I like to sit down with him and explain things until he gets the right answer. So every day he's getting it all right. But the teacher's like, did you do this on your own, Buzz? I'm like, oh God, I've been rumbled.
See, I'm English. I love kind of, you know, stories. And so, yeah, I've been helping quite a lot there. And I think the same, you know, getting through these quite special poems and teachers like, did you do this? But no, it's still wonderful, that connection that you have sitting and writing, and that's been quite lovely. But, you know, I've got nearly a teenager and a 9-year-old. So some of the work that my teenager's doing, forget it. We're like, darling, I can't help it.
Let's Google that, shall we?
Oh, we Google everything, yeah.
So let's talk about you. What was your childhood like? Because we went to a very different school.
We did, didn't we? Very lucky. Oh, my goodness. So, very humble beginnings with my family. We all shared a very small 2-bedroom flat. both my parents worked very hard, but my mum was at home a lot. But then she started teaching karate, so that was quite bizarre. But so when my dad...
Did I read somewhere that she got a black belt when she was 40?
Yeah, she's got a black belt in karate. I think first dan, actually. So she did that at 40. So when my dad came home from work, she would then go and, teach karate. So it kind of worked that way. But I just, for me, my mum was so inspirational. I mean, going back to college at 40, learning reflexology, doing Reiki healing, becoming a black belt. I mean, I was just like, Mum, it was quite amazing to watch. But our family have always been very loving, very affectionate. We didn't have very much growing up, but I'd never even thought of that because it was just a very, very loving family and very close.
How did you end up going to Sylvia's? So for those who don't know, we both went to Sylvia Young Theatre School, but at different times.
We did, yes, different times. I'm quite a bit older than you. But I used to go to a dance class in Finchley from quite young, from about 4. I used to do a bit of ballet, a bit of disco dancing and stuff like that, and I loved it. And the teacher there was Cheryl Adrian, and we couldn't afford the lessons actually to start with. So my mum said, can she just trial? And if she loves it and she's good, we'll make it work somehow. We'll get, the money. And I went to the dance class, and Cheryl, who was just this wonderful woman, I still see her now. She still comes to all the Spice Girl concerts. She's wonderful. She said, look, bring her once a week and it's on me. And my mum was like, no way, no, I can't believe it. So I went to this dance class, and it was actually Cheryl Adrian who said to me, I really think you should take Emma to Sylvia Young. She'd love it. I was quite shy.
Right.
So I think she felt like, even though I loved dancing, and I think she thought that Sylvia Young would kind of bring a bit more of a confident side out in me, which it did. And so I auditioned for Sylvia Young. I did the song When the Going Gets Tough.
I love that song.
Gets tough, the tough get... But I just did this a lot, I remember.
Yours sounds as good as mine, literally. I was like hoe dancing, like what we're doing in a hoe down. Like, what
song was yours?
Can't I Joe?
Can't I Joe? I've been married like that. We go, oh my goodness, what Sylvia must be thinking? I auditioned, and oh my goodness, I prayed and I had my fingers crossed, and as soon as I stepped foot in that school, I remember my mum coming along, the noise, I still remember it now, and I've been back a few times with my children, and it makes me cry. Every time I'm even getting emotional now because
it's making me feel emotional.
The sound of it is so special. Like one room you've got singing, in another room you can hear the tap dancing, and then you can hear drama classes going on. And it was a dream. And I was just, I had everything crossed that I would get into the school, and thank goodness I did. Yeah.
Did you get a scholarship or anything?
No. So we first. At first we didn't, and we struggled a lot, and then my parents struggled a lot, and then I had to leave because we couldn't afford it anymore. So I ended up going to a school in East Finchley for about 2 weeks.
Right.
And then my mum was just like, Sylvia, please, is there anything we can do? She's, miserable, and she'd love to come back, and what can we do? And that is when Sylvia Young offered me a scholarship. I just adore her. I adore her. And as I said, I still see her now. We catch up, and she's very funny.
Did you ever think about what life would be like for you as a family, and if you wanted a family of your own?
Oh yeah. I think, having a very close family growing up, it was something I always dreamed about. And
do you have siblings?
I do, yes. I have a younger brother, and I have an older half brother.
Oh, okay.
And we're all very close. Oh, I've always wanted, children, and it was just always part of my future, definitely.
But then I guess having such a massive career, is there a weird thing about how to fit that into that career as well?
I think it was just something that I knew I would always have to do and have to work out somehow, because it was just going to be such a big part of my life. When I became pregnant with my first child, I was doing Strictly Come Dancing. And it is Jade's, it wasn't my partner's.
Just to clear that up.
But I think I was probably, at your fittest then, and it was a bit of a shock, but I just was so over the moon. In fact, we were talking about this yesterday, and I think I am at my happiest when I'm pregnant. And I think Jade was really nervous because I'm quite an emotional person. And he was like, oh, what's going to happen now she's pregnant? You know, all the hormones. And he actually, bless him, he read up on so many books, you know, to work with me on everything. And he was so brilliant. But yeah, I'm definitely happiest when I'm carrying. There's something about it that I just feel very at ease, very calm. You know, because, yeah, I'm usually quite a, anxious, a little bit anxious, bit manic, kind of person. But when I'm carrying, I'm very different.
I feel like my attitude changes towards my body as well.
100%. 100. I mean, I've never had a waist. It's just something that I've never had. My legs, are good, but I've never had this waist. So when I'm pregnant, actually, I put on fitted dresses because, the bulk. I felt confident actually when I'm.
Before you got pregnant, there was a period where you found out you had endometriosis.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
How did you get diagnosed with that?
Well, that was a very scary part of my life because, as I said, I've always wanted to have children, always wanted to carry. And I was having very, very bad pains. And I just thought it was what every girl has period-wise. We all, have period pains. But when I went to the doctor, they was like, no, we're not sure it should be this painful. And so I had a checkup, and that's when they found it. But I do remember the doctor saying to me, it's okay, it's 50-50, you might have children. I was totally in shock. My mum was with me. I burst out crying. I was like, you cannot tell me 50-50 that I'm going to have children. This is, so me and my mum talked about, kind of freezing in my eggs, all this kind of stuff. But I decided that I just didn't want to think like that or be negative about it. I just thought I'm just going to be positive. I'm going to look after myself.
Were you with Jade by this point?
Yes. Yeah. We met when he was 19, I was 21. I think this happened actually probably about a year into our relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just felt very nervous about it all. But I've just kept myself confident, and I thought, right, we're going to do this. As I said, my mum, did lots of reflexology and healing. So, we kind of went down that route and just being very positive about everything. So I was lucky enough, obviously, to fall pregnant years later. But it took a while.
So had you that conversation kept going of we're gonna start a family? Because I think, so me and Tom are the same. We got together really young, and when you're kind of bumbling along, you're doing everything, and you get, you move in together and do stuff like that, and then at some point you kind of go, oh, what about kids? At what point is that factored in? And actually, I think when you get together and you're older, you already know that that's on the cards within the next few years, if that's what you both want. Whereas when you're younger, that's something that you've actually you've got to talk about, you're kind of gearing towards, and you've kind of got to make happen in a way.
Yeah. It's so weird because Jade and I, when we first met, as I said, he was 19 and I was 21. And we had a very special connection straight away. And we actually talked about having children within months of meeting each other. And we were like, whoa, you know, it was quite fast. It all happened quite fast. And I think that's why Jade and I, we did have a break. After about 3 years together. And I think because everything happened so fast for us, we knew that, you know, we were in love with each other. We knew that we wanted to be lifelong partners. We knew we wanted children. And I think it was all a bit like, wow, how has this happened so young? So we did take that year to kind of go and do our own thing, and we both travelled a bit. But yeah, we didn't, I don't think we needed that chat after that, because I think we just knew that we wanted children together, and it actually just naturally happened. I don't feel like we were trying or anything. We just kind of let it happen.
Which I think if you've been given something like news like endometriosis, and I had PCOS, so I think when you've been given news like that and it just happens, it's kind of the best way, because it brings so much anxiety layered on when you do start trying or not trying. Yeah. It kind of has more and more. And I think I experienced that with Buzz, but then with the other two, because with Buddy, literally, it was a case of we should start trying for another now. It feels like the right time. Then 4 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. And then with Max, he was a little surprised.
Wow! Also
I know,
quickly.
whereas with Buzz, it was completely different. And I had the same thing, whereas in a doctor's told I had PCOS, and they kind of gave me a leaflet, sort of like, we'll talk about fertility when you're there. So it's that weird thing. It kind of builds up and you don't know what's going to happen. But sometimes just going with the flow.
Yeah, as I said, I think being so close to my mum and her being quite spiritual, and you know, I think we tried our hardest to just go with the flow, and being quite busy at that point as well. Strictly was, I mean, people that have done it, I'm still like, was it not the hardest thing? One of the hardest things you've ever done, because it's so constant and you want to do really well, and you're working every day and dancing every day. So yeah, it was quite a busy time. And I found out at the end of the show. So I came out the week after I found out. And
wow.
I know. And it was crazy, because I was kind of falling out of bed with tiredness, like, oh, and I was like, Jade, what's going on? Like, I'm sure I've worked harder than this, like, but I just physically felt exhausted.
Was it weird doing your final dance then, knowing that time that you were pregnant?
Yeah, it was very, very odd. And I came third, and at that point I didn't have to do the show dance. Thank goodness, because I was thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do all these lifts and throw me around. So yeah, I came.
You spent
third.
the whole time going, no.
Yeah, stop. But it was a special moment, really special moment. I think I held my stomach on my last show, because I knew, but obviously no one else did. And I look back thinking, oh, that was a bit of a giveaway. I shouldn't have done that.
How was the rest of that pregnancy?
Good. I mean, I had sickness with both my children, but just at the beginning. But as I said, I felt very looked after, and I think you get spoiled a bit when you're pregnant as well. And I quite like that feeling. Yeah, as I said, I just loved it. I mean, with Beau, my first, right until the end, we were, really excited, and I was overdue, but I just was like, having my baby, and we were really hoping to have natural birth, all these kind of things. I was sitting in my garden, and I was so overdue, and my doctor was like, I can assure you, you will probably have to have an emergency cesarean if we don't do something now. So right. I was like, I was a little bit upset, but actually it was a perfect day, because I had music playing, and my mum and Jade were there, and we had a little schedule, and it felt organised, and I wasn't as nervous. I think I would have been very, very scared otherwise.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that like then? Did you have a thing in your mind where you had to let go of what you thought was going to be your birth, what was your birth plan? Because so many women have this idea of what they want, and then when it doesn't go quite to plan, it stays with them.
Yeah, no, not me. I didn't have a plan. I just thought I would have
Sometimes
a
that's the
natural
best
birth.
plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't have that. But my mum, bless her, as soon as I told her, I said, Mum, I'm going to have a cesarean. She went, oh, she said, and it looked like the weight of the world had come off her shoulders because she was like, it's so painful. I'm like, Mum, oh my goodness. But yeah, she looked quite relieved. Relieved
That you weren't doing natural.
Bless her.
That's so funny.
I know,
I guess
she's
that is
funny.
that thing, and it's that thing of she's your mum, and we know how we feel about our kids, and knowing that they're going to go through certain things. And for her, she would have just felt that the cesarean was a much more controlled environment. I guess.
I think honestly, the look on her face of relief. I was just like, oh, okay. So yeah, I didn't have a plan. I kind of was going with the flow, see what happened, and then obviously there was a little bit of a U-turn, but we just, we went with it, which was great.
How did you feel seeing Bo for the first time?
Oh my goodness! Honestly, they're both the best days of my life. I just Bo came out quite wide-eyed, kind of knowing. It was amazing, and I held him straight away, and he looked me straight. Bo looked me straight in the eye, and then had a little tear, and I was like, "It's okay, Mummy's here," and the crying stopped. Oh, it was so magical. It was magical. I loved it. I do feel really good. Sometimes I talk to my other girlfriends, and they're like, "Oh, it was," and I feel terrible because I did have such a perfect day. But yeah, it was wonderful.
So for you, was the bond there instantly?
Yes. I just found that bonding with my children and having that lovely pregnancy, I felt that bond from then, really. So, yeah.
And was your youngest labour similar? Did you end up having a C-section?
Yeah, with both. And that wasn't so easy. It was scary, I think, obviously being that little bit older. Everything is, it was a bit more frightening. I felt a lot more with the cesarean. Maybe I knew what was coming. I definitely was more nervous. I knew what was happening. I was scared. Tate didn't cry straight away. I wasn't able to hold Tate straight away. So there was more complications with Tate, but still,
I think
really
sometimes
special.
as well, when you've experienced something once, like I would say after my first labour, that it was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. Then when I fell pregnant the second time, I was really nervous. And I think it's that even though I knew I had a great time with it and a textbook, hypnobirthing pregnancy and labour, but I kind of felt like, what if that was a fluke? And then knowing what your body goes through, that something weird happens where almost too much.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree. I think because, with Bo, yeah, I just was going with the flow, and I, trusted my doctor and my paediatrician, and my mum was there. It felt like, oh, but this is, I was letting things happen a lot more. Whereas the second one, I don't know whether I felt like I wanted more control over it, or I just, as you said, you knew what was going to happen. So, there was lots of things. But it was still the most special day after that. I think it was just a bit more nerve-wracking and,
How have you found the early days of having a newborn?
Tiring, obviously, not getting much sleep. But again, lots of support from Jade and my mum. So I was very lucky to have people around. Breastfeeding I found very painful, and nobody told me that it was painful. Nobody. I even go, why did you tell me this was so painful? But I think, I those moments, and I remember speaking to Jerry as well, and those moments in the middle of the night when you're feeding, and it's just you two. Oh, it's very special. At first, actually, I thought, I feel a bit lonely. But then as soon as I processed it and thought, hold on a minute, this is really, take this in. And then I started enjoying it. Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it? I think because what I find interesting is that there's little snippets of what people say to you that you understand when you're in it, or kind of go, oh yeah, this is what she meant. I can remember with the pain thing, one of my friends going, just when you start feeding, just clench your butt or like your jaw, or you'll crunch your toes up and you'll get through the first 10 seconds. And I was like, I've got no idea what she's talking about. But then another friend was like, he used to feed his baby at night, and he used to love doing the night feeds because it meant that it was the only time where it was just him and the baby, and where everyone else, it felt like the world was asleep but they were up. And you kind of go, even though, so I really struggled with breastfeeding early on, but actually at some point, there is a switch.
Yeah.
I found, and everything sort of falls into place, because I found that I'd read all the books, and then a baby arrived, and the baby hadn't read any of the books, so he didn't know what he was doing.
Exactly. I know. And Jade, I mean, he would wake up with me for all the feeds just to be part of that. And I mean, he read books on postnatal depression just in case, all these things. And I think just having that support and knowing that he was there actually made things easier as well, which was...
How long had you two been together or known each other when Beau arrived?
Oh my goodness, right, this is where your maths will come in handy.
Back to homeschooling now.
So we'd met when I was 21 and I had Beau at 31.
So 10 years?
Yeah.
Did your appreciation for each other, your love for each other, your understanding of each other change when Beau arrived and you became parents?
Yeah, I think so. In fact, it just became stronger. I remember the first time Jade popped out, to get something, and he would always come back and kiss me first, just, to give... Oh, it was so special when he did that, I remember. And then obviously... And then that was it for the rest of the day. He paid most attention to the baby, but just having that connection still. But yeah, I think we've always been a very strong couple because we are friends, and first and foremost, we laugh at each other. I think when I see you two together, it reminds me of that because we really respect each other as well. We both work really hard. We both, love being around each other. Yeah, so I feel very lucky that he's a good one.
Yeah. And how has life changed since the kids they've grown up a little bit now? So what's interesting about you actually is that you are out of the nappy stage. You're no longer having to take all the bits with you. Yeah. But that's kind of where you found a new passion.
I did.
Isn't all the nappies and baby stuff with Kit and Kin, which is absolutely beautiful, by the way.
Thank you so much. Do you know what? We're so proud of it. But I was touring when I had very young babies, and I remember going to America for 4 months and having to take nappies, milk, because I want, you kind of want what don't you? You don't want to kind of go somewhere.
It's a weird thing. It's not like you're travelling to the middle of nowhere, but you're like, I need to do everything I know.
But I wanted everything that I'd been using. I didn't want to try anything new at that point because they were so little. But I just found, with both of mine, especially my youngest, they would get a little bit of eczema and it was uncomfortable. And I searched and searched for products that were natural or that, or speaking to lots of people. Is there a brand that I wanted to trust? And I met Christopher Money through a mutual friend, and we were just chatting about he is, been in the business for years, but he was amazing to chat to because I was just like, I'm desperate to find something that I can use on my children that I really trust. And he was brilliant, and we ended up talking, and ideas were just kind of flying around, and yeah, he's just brilliant. I'm so glad we met because now we've got this amazing brand that we both work on, and we both we really believe in as well. And I think the eco side of everything has been such an important part for us, both having children and both, you know, just thinking, wow, we need to kind of figure out this world for our children, or this planet for our children a little bit, whatever we can do. Listen, I'm a mum. We're mums, we're busy with everything else. But if there's a little something that, you know, will help change, that is the most important part.
Well, I've just had, so a box arrived of the new Kit and Kin stuff, because when I first had Max, it was literally the nappies, and now it's grown so much with everything else. And there's reusable nappies, the clothes aspect of it as well. It seems to have grown so much, but it's all done so well.
Yeah, I feel like we've kept it very, you know, family. It's Christopher and I, and obviously an amazing team. But, you know, we've just kept it, you know, there's products, but they're small. We've kept it very small. With the nappies, now the reusable cloth nappy. When Christopher came to me with that, I was like, wow. I mean, this is beyond anything I could have thought. I just think he's a genius, because to have a reusable cloth nappy, make it gorgeous and soft, and, you know, and from regenerated nylon, from recovered fishing nets. I was like, this can't be true, you know. It's just amazing, the effort that the team have put into it. You know, I was on the side of, you know, I really want this nappy to still be soft for a baby's bum. That's what mummies want, you know. Obviously, everything else is so important, but we're looking after our babies and we want them to be comfortable. So, yeah, through the whole process, I was very much, is it soft enough? Is it soft enough? Is it sustainable?
But it's great that you're bringing your experience to it, but it must be gutting that, you know, right now, you can't go and run around and put a nappy on Bo.
I know.
I mean, that just won't work, Emma.
I know. Oh, don't let Jade hear you say any of that, because he would love to have more children.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's something that we spoke about. So when we saw each other, I was pregnant with Max, and it was very much sort of, it must always be a thing.
So hard. And I battle with myself, because I think I obviously would never regret having another child, but I might regret not having another child. And so, but I just, you know, how old? 44. And I think, you know, obviously with the Spice Girls coming back and with Kit and Kin doing so well, and, you know, I've got 2 very healthy children, and I think especially now, if I had another child, I would be more nervous than ever. I think that just scares me too much, that, yeah, I get frightened about everything. I'd be so
well, and you have an amazing family dynamic, and it's introducing another character. It's going to change it again. So you kind of like, do we need that? Is that, you know, it's a big.
My kids want another one. I mean, Christmas, on New Year's Eve, we all sat around the table, and I was like, right, wishes for this year, and both of them said we would like another sibling. No pressure.
Oh, gosh.
We'll see
on that. And how did you juggle all of your work side with having a baby?
So we did a photo shoot when I was, oh my goodness, so I was 7.5 months, and we were about to go back on tour, and we did this photo call of, hey guys, we're coming back on tour. And oh my goodness, I found that so difficult because, you know, my legs were sore swollen, and we had to walk miles. And I think, yeah, just kind of, I loved my dress. I wore a fitted dress and showed the bump. It was wonderful. But I just thought, oh my goodness. And then obviously having a baby and then going straight on tour, I didn't know how I was going to do that. I spoke to the other girls. They were like, you'll be fine. But I think obviously if you're not pregnant and you've had your children, you can say that, because you're past that. I think you forget, don't you? I mean, why would we go on to have more children? Because you forget the pain. And I think that it was quite a difficult time. I just felt, oh my goodness, this is happening so fast. But again, you know, as I said earlier, I was going with the flow really, and I thought, oh, okay, if I'm sure it'll be fine. I've got the support. But so I did the photo shoot, then I had a lovely time and had my first child, and it was just wonderful, and had 2 months to kind of, I know. 2 months.
Hold on, after a cesarean as well. So
Yeah.
2 months, you've got your recovery,
Yeah.
having the baby.
Yeah.
And then did you start rehearsals at the end of that 2 months?
Yes. And I flew, that's when I flew to LA.
There must be a massive thing in your head as well, because I've got a friend who was about to go on tour when her baby was 6 weeks old. And it's that thing of, when you're pregnant and it's so far away, there is that part of you that's like, I'm fine. I don't have to stop. We're women, we're strong, we're capable. And then as it creeps up on you, that anxiety and that doubt can start seeping in. And then you're kind of a bit like, no, it all kind of is there, and you're trying to push it away. And you don't know which side of your head to listen to, but you've got that apprehension. And sometimes, even I have felt when I've had things put in the diary, it kind of almost robs you a little bit of that newborn enjoyment, just because you know that there's something there that's kind of nibbling away at your maternity leave. You know, it's kind of just nibbling.
Yeah. If anyone said to me, I'm going to go on tour 2 months after or 3 months after the baby, I would say, no, you're not. Because I feel really, luckily I had Jade with me. We took Beau everywhere. So actually it was very special. Beau was at every concert, even though obviously Beau doesn't remember it. He was very young, but I carried on breastfeeding. All those things were still lovely. And of course I love performing with the Spice Girls. So being back with them, it's so many emotions that went on. But I feel quite emotional about it now, because it's, it was tough. And I think also, people are tough on you, and lots of, journalists. And usually I take no notice of that kind of stuff, because I've got nothing to be upset about. If someone wants to write, that's their job, or, all those things. I don't take any notice. But I think at that point, having a very young baby and journalists saying, oh, she looks massive up there, and you think, I've just had a baby, it was, that was quite hard.
Well, all I can say is the amount of women that would have been looking at you and going, oh my God, she's just had a baby and she's doing that. Well, first of all, what a nutter. But secondly, how inspirational. Just kind of, because we're told, it's kind of programmed into us that we can only see a woman after she's given birth when she looks a certain way. Yeah. And actually there's so much in between that. Yeah. I'm still blooming in between what I was. I don't think I'm ever going to be what I was before.
Me neither.
But it's about kind of going, so what? We're still us. We don't have to hide.
Exactly. And I think that was the frustrating bit, because I felt really proud being up there and being this, woman who's made a child. Now I'm performing, and I felt proud. And so I just thought, that was, firstly, from someone who hadn't had children, so didn't understand that feeling. But it's my mum, actually, she was furious. She was so furious, because, again, it was, a little bit uncomfortable for me. I was thinking, I was really proud being up there. Why is someone saying that? Like, I couldn't understand why someone would do that to another woman who's gone, right, I've rocked this, I'm up there, I've got the same little outfits on as the other girls, even though, but yeah, I was still lactating.
Front row seats, it could have turned into a quite different show.
Exactly.
Just spraying everyone. VIP seats were very different.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it was an amazing time. But that was a bit tough, kind of being away from home, being on stage. But it was great. It was nice to be in LA. Actually, it was lovely and warm.
Well, it's a sunny place. It's nice and happy.
Yes.
Was there that weird point as well of, you're up on stage, you're a Spice Girl in this amazing band being like adored by so many people, and then coming off stage and hitting, like, going straight back into reality of a squawking baby who needs to be on your boob.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what it was like. We were in hotel rooms with the cot next to us, all of those things. And I think people don't think that, obviously, you're coming off stage and going to the after party. It was not like that at all. But as I said, having Jade there, and we were like this little travelling family. Mum came out, friends came out. So, you know, I don't know if I say it enough, but my support group, I just don't know what I'd do without them. I do rely on them quite a lot, and they're always there, which is brilliant.
I think being away, because when Buzz was first born, Tom was on tour with McBusted. So when Buzz was 6 weeks old, we went to Manchester and we stayed in a hotel there for 2 weeks. Not quite LA, Emma, I'll be honest. Larry's not quite similar.
Though. We love it.
Well, it's lovely. But it was that amazing thing of actually just all the other noise, all the other things I was telling myself I had to do, they disappeared for a little while. And it was just the focus was on us as a family. Yeah. So I think sometimes actually stepping away from stuff does help.
I think so. And yeah, we on the tour, it was this little family team and we would just travel like that. And I think sometimes when you're at home, I noticed with my youngest, you get people coming around all the time, don't you? And you're like, oh, I'm tired now, I've had enough. But yeah, so no, it worked out for the best.
Is it funny to think about how different touring is now compared to how it was back in the day when it was just sort of you five girls just having fun and a giggle, and now it's this big, like, families welcome type affair?
Yeah, family rooms. We have kids' playrooms, family rooms. It's funny because all our tours have been quite different. So obviously, back in the day, world tours, working very, very hard, but being young girls, having an absolute ball. It was that was obviously really special, so young, just brilliant time. And then the time when I just had Bo, that tour for me was special, and we had kind of babies around. So it was, I would say, the most difficult of tours. Yeah. That was the hardest, but still so lovely and great people around, and it was a lovely time, but definitely the hardest tour for me. And then this last tour for me was the best of them all. I felt like a confident woman with children who went out there and thought, do you know what, I might not do this again. I'm going to live it and love it. And the kids loved coming along.
Did you see them?
Yeah, all the time.
What was it like being on stage and doing your thing and catching sight of your children?
They were just... It was funny because Bo's first gig was at Croke Park in Dublin. It was stadium, and Jade said that Bo was standing next to him and he just looked out and started screaming like that kind of, he couldn't quite believe it. He was like, Daddy, I thought there was only going to be like 1,000 people. No clue. And I think obviously why would they? I'm at home, usually in my pajamas, cooking or doing whatever around the house. So I don't think they put two and two together at all. So seeing that first gig, I think, was a bit of a shock for both of them.
And how did you feel clocking them?
Absolutely loved it. I mean, every night I would kind of shout. I'm kind of, even though obviously we're up there and we're performing and we've got massive, we still feel like girls and mums, and we're like shouting at our kids, I'm here, Mummy's here. We would be like, so I would kind of see them or shout them out every night and just tell them I love them, and just seeing their faces. And sometimes they'd be too busy hanging out with the other kids and dancing that I'd be like, I'm here, Mummy's here. And they'd be like trying to learn the dance routine or, doing something else.
How has being a mum changed your relationship with the rest of the girls? Because obviously you're friends, and I think motherhood makes you the most vulnerable and the most strongest ever. Yeah. And it clarifies so many things in your mind. And obviously you all got together so young. And you're now women in your 40s, like you've been through so much.
Yeah. I think actually all of us have never been happier. And it's just funny how, obviously priorities change. For me, my priorities completely changed. My children, I feel very lucky that I can obviously, do everything, but my children are my priority. So I work around that. But yeah, with the other girls, I mean, we talk about all sorts, and it was so lovely on this tour to see the kids interacting and just chatting and singing and all sorts of songs and playing games. It was very, very sweet, because I think individually all the children, even though obviously we're up there and it's the Spice Girls, I think that's just their mummies, you know, it's just their mummies up there. And but it's so nice to see them all hang out. It's so lovely. I mean, just over Christmas, Tate spent some time with Harper, and it's funny because, you know, they're dancing together, and just having that connection was really special.
Well, so we obviously have it with our kids, and even though we don't see the rest of the McFly guys, it's that special thing, I think, when they're all together, where they know each other even though they don't see each other a lot. Actually, so I guess with McBusted, rather than for us, Emma's kids and ours are just, they adore each other, and there's something so lovely when people that you adore, that your kids then adore each other.
Yes, Melanie B and I cried our eyes out one night because our two youngest were right at the front, dancing together, and all of a sudden they just grabbed each other and hugged for ages. That was it. Me and Mel were like, oh my goodness. It was such a special moment. And they're having that connection. But it's funny because you can see, you know, your character in your children, and you can see their, you know, the other girls' characters in their children. And it's just brilliant. Brilliant. They had so much fun together.
I feel like it's more fun now that there are children in the mix.
100%.
And how do you feel? Because a lot of people, there's this thing about being a mum, but then feeling guilty if you say that you enjoy the thing that takes you away. So whether it's Kit and Kin, whether it's a radio show, whether it's a Spice Girls, whatever it is, do you ever feel guilty for loving the thing that takes you away? Or you're kind of a bit like, meh, there's enough to feel guilty about?
I am definitely a guilty mum. Like, I feel guilt over everything. But I also like my children to see me, working. And they know that mummy works, and they have that kind of, I want them to have that work ethic. So, and then I just get them involved sometimes. They are hugely involved with Kit and Kin. You know, they looked at all the kind of packaging and colours and obviously all the animals on the nappies. And so I feel like if we can get them involved, that when I do have to go, I go, I'm going to take all your ideas and I'm off to make sure that they, you know, are done well. You know, we kind of, so I try and get them involved in it as much as possible. And then obviously with the Spice Girls, I mean, they know all the dance routines. And so I don't feel guilty about loving that, as long as I know that they understand where mummy's going, they understand what that does, how that helps, and getting them involved.
And what has been the most difficult part of motherhood so far? Because I always think it's the newborn bit, because for me I likened it to hell, but actually as they get older the problems get bigger as well, and there's so many other facets that you have to take care of. Yeah,
I think there's little bits in every part, but no, for me, I think being I am a bit of a nervous mum. The walking stage, because I was always nervous that they're going to hurt themselves. Also, I cannot get my head. I've got years to go yet, but I can't stop thinking about them wanting to drive.
Well, it's not that far away from you, really.
I just, that kind of thing. I think I'm just that nervous mother that never want them to get, obviously every mother, but I just, I get frightened of them. Even when they go in the garden, I was like, be careful. They're like, of what, Mum? We're just
the grass?
I'm one of those mothers. And, sometimes I feel like I'm sucking the fun out of it, but I'm like, just be careful of everything.
So Boz is only in year 1, but you've had to, and I already worry about secondary school. And you've already had one that's gone to secondary school. For me, it just feels like that massive leap.
I know. And some of them talk about some of the mums talk about, how their children are getting to school, on the bus. I'm like, I'm going to drive Bo to school as long as I can. I'm definitely just one of those mummies. I think I'm going to have to cut the umbilical cord at some point, but that is not going to be for a very long time. My poor children.
It's all about doing what works for you
My
guys,
poor
though.
children. I know. And, the lovely thing about it is, my children are very open. We talk about everything. Even my teenager is talking to me. And I just, if that's kind of how it all happens, I always want that to be. We sit around the table in many nights as we can and have dinner, and we talk and just make sure that, we ask them how their day been, or it might sometimes, we talk about rubbish and nothing really has happened, but they're very, very open with me. And I just think that is the most important thing for me in that relationship with my children. I just want them to be, honest and be able to talk to their mummy and daddy, and that's so important.
I've got to say, I think that's one of my biggest fears, is that breakdown of communication and them ever feeling like they're alone or that they can't share, or, that we're going to judge them in any way.
Yeah, and I've been so lucky because, both of them have talked to me about everything. I mean, silly things like, Bo, my eldest, had a bit of an argument with a friend, and he was like, "Mummy, can I talk to you about something?" So we've got a great relationship.
And dinner seems to be a good time to have those chats. The thing is, everyone is focusing on food.
Yes.
So no one's really thinking about what's coming out. So it just kind of spills.
It just spills. It's the best way to get information. But also when we're like creating or painting or making something, I'll just slip in little questions, and then because they're so occupied with something else, then they tend to kind of, open up and talk, which is nice.
I know, I'm always that person where I'm kind of sit them down. So tell me about this, and there's nothing. And then Tom will take them out for a walk, and it will just be this monologue of just stuff coming out. And you're like, all right.
Yeah, as soon as they're doing something creative, they love a chat.
The other thing I love to see with you is that you have an amazing pool of girlfriends, and you have proper girly dates. It seems like you really make time to have time that's yours.
Yeah, well, it feels like that, but it's hilarious because I think I probably get to go out with my girlfriends, so as in Holly and Nick Appleton, although my girly friends, we probably do that about 3 times a year.
Oh, really?
But it seems like we do it a lot, doesn't it? I'm like, it's amazing. Yeah, but they are very special days. And we try and make it so we meet for lunch, and then we can carry on and get home at a kind of reasonable hour, and either still have dinner with the kids, or, we're home in time for bedtime. But I think it's important to have girlies. I mean, when we get together, we talk about everything from kids to fashion to our husbands. It's just one of those days where you can just totally release to your girlfriends.
And know that it's not going to go any further, but it's all there.
Yes.
Like that.
Exactly.
I know that you're very close to your mum. How has your relationship changed with her since having kids?
It's changed in the fact that obviously I just rely on her. I talk to her about everything. Anything that's upsetting me, anything that I need help with. I mean, she's my first call. Yeah. And my mum actually moved in with us. I think it's coming up for a year now. So she's here.
How comes?
Oh, because she was living on her own, and I just love her being close by, and we're so close that I just thought it would be, it's perfect as well. She's just here on call, I'm like, Mum, going out for dinner with Jade, back in an hour. I know, she's just, so nice. she's been great. So I love having her here, yeah.
Ah, that's lovely. I love that.
I don't know how Jade feels about it, but no. Not really. He's brilliant.
Oh, so I wrote a book this year called Letters on Motherhood.
Yes.
Which was literally a series of letters all about motherhood, whether it is to my foof, my husband, my kids, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was wondering. I think it's called the Fanny Appreciation Club or something like that. But if you could write a letter on motherhood, who would it be to and what would you say?
Wow. Okay.
I like to ask really big questions and just chuck it your way right at the end when you're feeling really nice and relaxed.
I would probably write it to my children, and just tell them that they're the most important thing in my life. I'm probably not going to get everything perfect, but I'm here as their confident, their support, their best friend. And anything they want to speak to me about, I'm here, and we will learn together and work things out together. And yeah, it would be a lot longer than that. But
At least a page.
At least a page. And just, that they've definitely made my world so much brighter. I mean, I sing to them most nights. It's the same songs, but they love it. And one of those is You Are My Sunshine.
Oh.
And the other one is Here Comes the Sun, because that song was playing when Beau was born. And I'll Be There was playing when Tate was born.
Right.
So we sing the same 3 songs every night. I mean, they're both very different characters, and sometimes, it can sometimes be quite powerful and hard work, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And I feel like I'm just learning so much from them. I didn't realise, obviously you go, all right, I'm a mum and I'm going to be the teacher and I'm going to, teach them everything. And they have taught me so much. They have brought so much to this household, and yeah, I'm learning from them every day.
It's interesting because as the parent, you always think that you're meant to have all the answers, and actually it's okay to discover them as you go.
100%. I know I haven't got all the answers. I know that we work together on things, and I'm just trying my best. But the one thing I know that we have as a unit is pure and utter love for each other. It's unconditional. It's, as I said at the beginning, with my family, we've always been very affectionate. I mean, we cuddle all the time. It's very important to us. They're not allowed to go a day without, lots of cuddles.
So I think it's how you grew up as well, though, because I would first thing in the morning, it's like a little cuddle, it's a greeting. Nighttime, it's a kiss goodnight. Before you go anywhere, it's something,
Yeah.
It feels alien to me that people don't do that.
I know.
And I know other people might see that as sort of inappropriate, which I think is bizarre.
Oh, bizarre.
But it's that thing of kind of, that's just what and that kind of completes things in a weird way.
And it's funny because Beau, my eldest, obviously we're getting to that time where he has tried to kind of go to bed without saying goodnight to us, and we're like, excuse me, I think you've forgotten something. And he laughs about it and jumps on us and gives us big hugs. And then there's other times where he will say to me, can I have a cuddle, mummy? And so yeah, we're still, and a lot of people have said to me, oh, he's not going to want to do that soon. And actually, I'm not sure that's going to happen, because I think we are very, warm, and that's quite important to us.
Have you got to the point yet where Beau can put his arm around your shoulders rather than the other way around?
Yeah, he's taller than me.
Oh, mate.
It's not hard though. I mean, I think I am. I'm so little. I mean, how tall are you?
I'm 5'4" at a push, if I'm standing really straight.
Oh, that's great.
How tall are you?
5'1", and I think sometimes I give myself 1.
This is the real reason for the Buffaloes back in the day.
Yes, that is the reason. That is the reason, because there was an audition for the Spice... so the Spice Girls got together. I came along a bit later, but they said, oh, you need to be 5'2", I think it was. And I was like, uh-oh, I'm not 5'2". So I went and bought some Buffaloes. And that's where it came from. But yeah, no, I'm 5'1". So Beau is... he's a bit taller than me now. Yeah. Yeah. Frightening. growing so fast. I don't like that bit either. I'm going to be honest. I don't want them to grow. I tell them I don't want them to grow up. I'm going to find that quite difficult. I'm already, reminiscing about when they were younger, and it's like they're still so young. But we watch videos together of them as children and pictures, and they love stories as well. I don't know whether I remember my mum telling me stories when I was younger, thinking, oh, I don't want to hear that. My two love it. I mean, they love hearing about the day they were born. They love their first day at school. They love hearing kind of those times.
Yeah. It shocks me that, there are times where we're all sat on the sofa and I look around and it's lovely and we're all sort of cuddling and stuff, and realising that at some point I'm going to be surrounded by, with Tom included, 4 men, like grown men, and that's very odd, isn't it?
I know, and all different emotions though, and all different characters, which is...
Yeah.
God, I love watching my two grow in quite very different ways, and their characters are different. And I actually feel very lucky that, they're both just growing into themselves and having so much fun with it. They've been amazing. I tell you what, I was thinking the other day as well, I just feel everything that is going on at the moment with the lockdown, and I just feel so grateful. Oh my goodness, I just feel so grateful that we're able to be together, because obviously there's so many people out there who, are on their own, who are just going through horrendous things at the moment. That's the one thing, we sit down and we're so lucky to kind of be together in this unit at the moment. It's been, that has been such a tough time for many. And, every Thursday going out and clapping, and I cry every Thursday. I know you do.
Yeah.
We've both been nearly in tears this whole thing. But that whole, it's been so emotional, hasn't it? It's just been so emotional.
And weirdly, as a family, I feel like you discover more and more about each other, because you have that intense time together where you're not having that breather. You have to learn even more patience, even more listening skill, like all that thing where we're all learning. And we had a chat early on, actually, when we're talking about communication, even though mine are a lot younger, we had to sit down and go, there are going to be times in the weeks that are coming up when we're going to really irritate each other. And that's okay,
Absolutely. It's an intense time, isn't it? And as with, with the different characters, you kind of have to work out and how each one of them wants to make this whole time for them. Luckily so far, I mean, Tate's very intense, but Beau is very... easy going, and we just have to deal with it as it comes along.
Exactly. So I end each episode with you finishing off 3 sentences.
Okay.
The first one is, being a mum means.
Being a mum means everything.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Okay.
That's fine. Since having children, I
have totally changed my priorities.
And I'm happy when?
I'm happy when my kids are happy, the sun is shining, and they aren't arguing.
Gotta take those little moments when they come.
Yes, and we're eating.
Oh, throw in some food and everyone's happy. Emma, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting.
Thank you for having me. It's actually, we've been trying to make this work for a long time, and I'm so happy we did it.
I know, literally, I think about 2 years we've been trying.
I know. I can't believe it. But it's been wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for always supporting Kit and Kin. So funny, when I first saw one of your Instagrams, I just saw...
a little bottom.
with my nappy on, I was like, yes! That was a dream. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.